So, 'tis the holiday season, and currently, right now, everybody is watching their favorite Christmas movies and just holiday movies in general, just to get in the mood for the season. So, with that being said, I thought I would review my favorite holiday movies. Well, these sets of movies relate to, I think, any holiday. You can watch them on Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, it's whatever. On TV, they play them for like every single holiday. That film series that I'm talking about right now is the Harry Potter film series. Now, I know that behind me currently are a bunch of Marvel posters, and I talk about Marvel a lot on this channel, but if I had to be honest with myself, the Harry Potter 8 film series, the Harry Potter 8 film series is probably my favorite series of all time. I've seen these movies hundreds of times, and I finally just last week got my hands on this box set, Blu-ray and 4K, right here. And currently, right now, I'm in the middle of binging these films with some friends. We just kind of decided to safely get together some nights and just watch some of these movies because we have one of our friend. His name is Nick. You've seen him on the channel before. He has never seen these movies, so we were like, hey Nick, we gotta show you these movies. And he was like,
Hi, my name's Nick. I've never watched Harry Potter, but I'm binge watching with my friends for the first time.
and I thought, you know what, let me do a series reviewing the Harry Potter movies, and at the end of every video, we will be ranking them. I made a table, and at the end of every review, we'll be putting the movie in the table slot. There's 8 slots because there's 8 films that I'll be reviewing, and at the end of it all, we'll see which one's my favorite, which one's my least favorite, and which ones just kind of go in the middle. So, with that being said, today's review is for the very first Harry Potter film, and that is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, I have this just to get the review started. Review stardom. So, like I said, this is the first movie in the Harry Potter film series, and here's just a quick synopsis of it, because unless you've been living under a rock for the past 20 years, I think most of you have already seen these movies hundreds of times like I have, so this will be a spoiler-filled review, and also, this will not be a play-by-play of every single scene, because that'll just take too long, and I'm sure you've seen it all. So, in the first movie, Harry turns 11 years old, and he finds out that he can now attend Hogwarts. Hogwarts is a school for witchcraft and wizardry, and Hagrid's like, yo, Harry, pack your stuff, let's go, and Harry's like, my aunt and uncle suck, who take care of me, peace, I'm out. And once he goes to that school, he finds a lot of things about his past, about his parents, about Lord Voldemort, who killed his parents. He finds a lot of things about himself that he didn't know until he entered the school, or until at least he met Hagrid. And in this film, we follow Harry on this journey of discovering the magical world. Because this movie had a very hard task of being the first movie in the film series. This movie is directed by Chris Columbus. Chris Columbus, not Christopher Columbus. And I actually saw on Instagram the other day, I saw a post on my Explore page of him talking about this film, and he said how he felt so much pressure to make this movie good, and him and his staff had so much pressure on them, because if this movie failed, that's it. Like, we would not have gotten to where we are right now. A lot of people talk about the first Iron Man movie, and they're like, well, what if the first Iron Man movie failed? What would have happened with the MCU? Well, it's kind of the same thing with a billion-dollar film series like the Harry Potter movies. It's like, what would have happened if this first movie failed? And looking at Columbus's filmography, I actually wasn't aware of what kind of movies he's directed before, besides these first 2 Harry Potter movies. So I looked it up, and he actually directed a lot of movies that I have seen. Most notable that I saw was the first 2 Home Alone movies. Those are Christmas classics. Those movies are movies that like kids can enjoy. You can sit down with the whole family and enjoy. And that's where I would kind of categorize these first 2 Harry Potter movies. I think, well, I'm just kind of guessing on the Chris Columbus style based on what I saw from his filmography, is that like he has a way of making these fun, family-filled movies with, adventure that, again, the whole family can enjoy. And I think at the time when they were making this movie and they were like, all right, who is going to direct the first Harry Potter movie? He was probably at the time the perfect man to pick to direct this first movie. Because, oh man, like, when I was a kid and I first saw this movie, I remember thinking, man, I want to go to Hogwarts. Hogwarts looks so dope. I wanted to be on that train with Harry and Ron eating all that magical candy. Like, it just looked dope, right? So, like, they were like, this first movie has to appeal to, kids. We have to get them in the seats. We also have to, find something that even adults could enjoy. And this movie does have, that magical wonder. Everybody can enjoy it. Think of how many things they had to set up for the future movies to use. First of all, what Hogwarts looks like, right? The book series have already been out. People have been reading them. It's like, it's one thing reading them off the page and just imagining what they might look like in your head and then seeing them on screen. Hogwarts looks dope. It's prominent in the rest of the film series. So we set up Hogwarts, we set up the Wizarding World, we set up our main characters, we set up the conflict between Harry and Lord Voldemort. We set up so many things in this movie, being the first movie to show us this Wizarding World. I think the movie really plays off that awe factor. Like, we're following Harry and he's amazed by what he's seeing because he's seeing the Wizarding World for the first time. And we, as the audience, are as well seeing the Wizarding World for the first time. That's why it all looks so cool. But with that being said, I think this movie leans very heavily into that awe factor. Like, we're kind of just, for majority of the movie, we're following Harry as he is discovering these things. And I wouldn't say it's a real bad thing that this movie is leaning really hard into like showing us the Wizarding World and trying to amaze us with every little thing. That's not really a bad thing because this is the first movie in the 8th film series, right? So there's gonna be one movie that will take its time to set everything up. But I would say that this movie sometimes lacks in intensity and a little bit of action, I would say. Like, yeah, we're following Harry and we're thinking, yeah, wow, this is so cool, okay. But throughout the movie, the kids themselves, Hermione, Ron, and Harry, kind of just find their own adventure, I would say. Like, they start learning about the Sorcerer's Stone. At the end of the movie, they take matters into their own hands. They're like, all right, we gotta go protect the stone. I would say that the next movies, like for example, the second movie, the danger is kind of always looming around, right? Like in the second movie, there's something petrifying all the students, and they're talking about like, should we close Hogwarts? Should we should we keep it open? What is the Chamber of Secrets? Like, this is some scary stuff. But in the first movie, like I said, for majority of it, we're just kind of showing you the Wizarding World. And then the adventure, I would kind of say, is almost towards the back of it because the kids kind of go out looking for their own adventure. And then in the end, they're like, all right, well, we got to take matters into our own hands to go protect the stone. Like, was the stone really the danger throughout majority of the movie? I would argue no, but the kids kind of take it into their own hands that, like, we gotta go protect the stone from Snape. The other day when I was watching this, what I noticed is I wasn't a big fan of the editing choices in this movie. And that's mainly because, again, it builds off that awe factor, and we're kind of just following Harry from class to class to class to, like, Quidditch practice, to then a Quidditch game. Like, we're kind of just moving locations within Hogwarts just to learn something new about the Wizarding World. So we're just kind of, like, jumping scenes, very linear. There's no real, like, style to it or flow. It's like, all right, we're done with this class, now go to this class. Now we're done with this class, now go to this class. It's just kind of how it goes.
Also, another shout out goes out to John Williams for making another iconic score. This score is just so beautiful. I love this soundtrack. It's definitely up there as one of the greatest soundtracks ever made. And if you look at that list, whatever that list could be, John Williams probably made a lot of those, like, very top tier, amazing movie soundtracks. He smashed it out of the park with this one yet again.
I think it goes without saying that the CG does not hold up nowadays, especially the first big Quidditch match. Yeah, it does not hold up, but what are you going to do about it, right? When it first came out, it was probably like this really cool thing that you saw on screen. You were amazed by like how they did this. They did the best that they could with the technology that they had, but it's just over time, CGI has improved so much that it just does not compare. It's funny, my friend Nick, who saw the movie the other day for the first time, pointed this out to us. He said, Dumbledore in this movie is the biggest troll you will ever see. Like that ending scene when they walk into the dining hall, right? And they're about to announce the winner who got the most points and which house won the year, right? Can you imagine being in Slytherin, right? Like you walk into the dining hall, the flags are already up. It's already Slytherin. If I was in Slytherin, I'm wearing green today. I'm repping some Slytherin. I don't know, just how it went. But you walk in there and you're looking at the flags and you're like, wow, that means we probably won, right? And then Dumbledore goes ahead and is like, Slytherin, you win. And the 12 and 11-year-old kids are like cheering. They're going nuts. They're like, yeah, let's go. And then Dumbledore's like, hold up, wait. Let me teach you a very important life lesson. And that is that life is extremely unfair. Harry, 1,000 points. Hermione, 10,000 points. Ron, 500,000 points. And Neville, you get like 10 points. And according to my calculations, that means Slytherin, you lost. Gryffindor, you won. Change the flags. My friend, yeah, Nick pointed out that, like, Dumbledore, that was the biggest troll move you have ever seen. He just broke a bunch of 11 and 12-year-olds' hearts. No wonder Slytherin are, like, the bad guys. I mean, look how they get shafted. Alright, I realized that was probably a wrong choice of words, but, like, I would be a mean kid if that happened to me, right? That's, like, the biggest upset ever. I would be calling bullshit on that. VAR, come check that shit out. You know what I'm happy about? I'm happy that back then, when they were first making this movie, it was the early days of the internet, and things like social media did not exist. Can you imagine Harry Potter fans who were reading the books at the time, and then they announced the castings? They're like, these three kids are gonna be our stars for many years to come. They're Ron, they're Hermione, and here's our Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe. The internet right now would probably find some reason to go nuts about it. To be like, oh, this kid looks too short, looks a little weird. I mean, that's not what I imagine Harry Potter to look like in my head. He would look a little weird with the glasses, like, I don't know. But back then, the internet existed, but it was in its early days and social media did not exist. So studios could make castings without people freaking out about him. And again, you know, all goes to like Warner Brothers and Chris Columbus and his staff for picking these three to be the leads for many years to come. Because I think in this movie, they're 11 years old, and you could definitely see that they are very talented. I would say that the dialogue sometimes, and maybe a little bit of the acting, maybe they're just a little bit, unexperienced, or, this is their first big movie. You could see that it's a little bit cheesy, it's a little bit corny, way early 2000s to late 90s, that kind of stuff. That this movie does give you that feeling. But, I mean, knowing what's to come and knowing how the actors mature and the story matures and the writing gets better and the acting just gets so much better. Like, you had to give this franchise to kids who could show you in the beginning that they're very talented, that they could carry this franchise, and then improve with the franchise, because these three definitely, I would say, improve so much through the franchise. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So here's our little table. Here's how it works. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is going to take that number 1 slot. There's 8 slots, and with every review at the end, it depends if the next movie is better than Sorcerer's Stone, it will take its spot, and so on and so on. So Sorcerer's Stone could stay up on that first spot, or it could end up in the last spot. Spoiler alert, it will not stay on the first slot. But, at the end of it all, we'll see where it does end up. But for now, because it's the only movie, it takes the first slot. But yes, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Is it your favorite Harry Potter movie? Is it your least favorite Harry Potter movie? Leave all of that down in the comments. Do you think this is a great start for the Harry Potter film series? Because I think it's a great start for the series. I think this movie did exactly what it was set out to do. Introduce us to the wizarding world, introduce us to the characters, make us fall in love with this world and characters, and it did that. But for now, this is where I'm going to leave you. Make sure to leave this video a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate all of that. And I'll see you guys in the next review, which will be for Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, outro thing. Whoa, no, I did the spell. I'm leaving. No.